Hello again, this is Bob, and today I'm going to be talking about Spawn number 2. I have been meaning to get to more Spawn comics because I am a massive Todd McFarlane fan, especially when it comes to any of his artwork. I made a video a while back about Spider-Man number 317, which was the first introduction to Todd McFarlane and what made me want to get into comics, want to be a comic book artist and all of that. I just actually did not want to fish out all of these Spawn issues I have packed away somewhere, even though, I want to like reread them and everything. So I went the digital route on this one so that, I'm not ruining my own collection or anything like that. Plus I can do a bunch of editing and make a couple jokes and such as I do a review of any of these books. So here we are on the cover, another Todd McFarlane cover here that was painted by Stacey is the name that's on here. It's the same as the painted cover on Spawn number 1. I believe we got that for the first 2 to 3 issues. I can't remember what the third issue's cover looks like, but I will be taking a look at that soon. And as you can see on here, it does say digital edition on the cover so that you know what I'm talking about here. We are going to move inside. This one's dedicated to Steve Ditko. All of the Image comics were having dedications placed on the inside cover. It's, just what they were doing. I guess they wanted to let you know, it wasn't just money that made the Image guys leave Marvel and form their own company, even though they made a shit ton of money from it. It was the respect or, the fact that these companies were taking and using their artwork for everything and they weren't being properly compensated for it. And most of the dedications that we were getting here in these books were to the people that worked before them for Marvel or DC that had their work used in a similar fashion where they didn't get compensated for it. And most of these artists that were, these dedications were to also had, problems or whatever with, these big corporations basically taking and using their artwork in the manner that they did. So, that was one thing that I loved most about Image was the fact that they were kind of fucking over these big corporations. That was my favorite thing. That's the thing I got most out of it. I remember a few years ago that people were worried about the Spider-Man thing because Sony owns Spider-Man or something like that. And they were like, you were not going to have... I can't remember what it was, but it was something to do with... I think it was because maybe it was Steve Ditko that was saying that he was supposed to be labeled as part creator of Spider-Man. And people were like on Marvel's side, which I thought was just absolutely ridiculous that so many people would take the side of a major, corporation over like the artist and creator responsible for that work. I don't know. That's something I'll have to look into another time and do another video on because I can't remember exactly what it was. I just remember reading some stuff like that and being like, what the hell? What is wrong with people that they would pick the wrong side to be on? But anyway, let's continue on with this. So here we open on a splash page of the Clown. Okay. We can see his name obviously here as the Violator, and he is talking to a little kitty cat. And that's basically it. Like he's going on like a cartoon character about what he's going to do to someone, but he doesn't really mention who in these words. But he's going to be making fillets out of his lungs and milkshakes out of his heart, and he's going to soft boil his eyeballs and things like that. So we're getting the idea that this guy is evil and gross. Okay, and his conversation with this cat continues. Again, not really knowing. I mean, we can guess that he's going to be an enemy of Spawn. Okay, it's time we had an enemy introduced. The first issue of Spawn was basically Spawn finding out what he was. Us getting the origin story for Spawn. Yeah, so there wasn't much else that went on with that. We were just getting the details of that. I actually thought that the first issue of Spawn was done pretty well, considering Todd McFarlane's not the greatest writer. But he was able to give us all the information we needed so that we know what Spawn is and what this book is going to be about. So now we're going to be introduced to an enemy so that we can get this action rolling, okay? But he's just here now talking to this cat about everything he's going to be doing to Spawn and how Spawn is going to beg him to kill him. Okay, and then we have another splash page of Spawn. So it was a nice cut to of Spawn here. And Spawn is still, again, just coming to terms with what he is. And he's trying, he's going through his head again that he's been duped, that the devil tricked him, that, he didn't get anything he wanted. It was all, a scam and, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna see that a lot. It's like every Spawn issue is just Spawn rehashing this and kind of never coming to terms with it. And again, we're here, same thing. He's looking at himself. He's looking at the ground hamburger meat that used to be a person. And he's like, am I even a person again? Like, am I a man? I don't know. I'm just some kind of horrible ground hamburger meat walking around the alleys here. And then he climbs to the top of a church because he keeps saying that he's drawn to a church. Somehow he doesn't know why. We're going to find out why. It's going to take a lot of issues to get there. But I'm wondering if that's what Todd McFarlane had in mind since the beginning, or if it was something that he ended up changing because it ended up being a better idea, because we do know that the person that actually killed Spawn wasn't so much Jason Wynn, which we're also going to be introduced to here. It was Chapel from Youngblood that did it. The new generation of heroes, that hero that killed this government operative on orders from his boss. That's the same Chapel, the one who has AIDS and freely gives it to every person because he's such a hero. But anyway, so here's Spawn on top of this church when he notices that little guy down there yelling at him, and I find that to be hilarious that we have this little Violator here on this roof, like yelling up there at Spawn. Then we cut to on a corporation, a skyscraper, right? There's a lot of noise coming from behind the door. It looks like a bodyguard comes running, and he's like, boss, open the door, open the door. With all that yelling, you have to assume that your boss is kind of busy, and there's no way he's going to be able to open the door. But then we have an arm shoot through the door and grab him by the face, and then we can see here that he reaches inside of his chest and pulls his heart out. Okay. And then we have the full page spread of this demon, which at the time we did not know was Violator. So I know the game that Todd McFarlane's playing here, we get introduced to this little clown, and we're seeing these things in two different places almost at the same time, or at least that's what we're led to believe, so that we don't think the little clown is this creature, okay? Even though when we see this creature talking, which we will in a page or two, it's the same type of dialogue we're getting from the clown, okay? Next, we have the three news reporters from the three different news channels. And this is the only part of Spawn that I'm not a big fan of. I feel like one reporter would have been enough. Like, it was kind of a cool idea that we were getting three different points of view or three different types of media coverage on this, and I think it was hilarious that the Entertainment News would always like look at Spawn's fashion or something like that. I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was a good take, but in the end, we have all this dialogue and it's all just stating the same thing, okay? And they're talking right now about all of these mob bosses getting killed and how the police are baffled as to who's doing it. Cut back to Spawn on top of a church again and removing his mask again, because now he believes that maybe his powers will be able to change him or fix him so that he's not just a walking pile of hamburger meat. So he gives it a try, as we can see here, and he does change. Now he looks like, a normal person. But uh, he starts looking at himself and he's like, no, this can't be. What's going on here? And he uses the magic again and stays the same, and uses it again and stays the same. And we can see here in this bottom panel, he's like, not again. This can't be. I'm a black man. So can I just say that when I first read this as a kid, it was 1992. I say kid, I was like 17 or 18 at the time. I was a little confused because I'm like, he states here he's a black man, but I'm seeing a blonde-haired white guy. And that's where it was confusing me, because it's like, did the colorist get it wrong and make him the wrong color? No, he was a black man. He's trying to, to bring himself back. But when he does that, he is changing to a white person. And that's what's bothering him, because he can't, go see his wife looking like this, because she'll never believe that this is the person that she married who came back from the dead. So I get it. It just didn't come off that way at first. It just seemed weird. I had to look at it for a minute or keep going in order for it to come, to me. Then we cut to Sam and Twitch, which nothing much happens here. We've got Sam and Twitch. I think they were just put here so that we don't forget who they are. They needed to just have, a page in the book. And it's just Sam complaining that, he's got to write 5 reports until Twitch tells him he's got to write 6. And he's going off about how, why does he have to do these reports and all of this? And he's reading the newspaper and he's like, why do all these reporters have to report on this? It doesn't make any sense to me. And come on. Sometimes I just feel like TODD McFARLANE didn't really know what to have Sam and Twitch do or say. So he would kind of just put anything in there. And this one sadly did not play out that well. Then we cut to another place where we have some guy being attacked by this demon again, who, again, after we see the dialogue here, he sounds a lot like the clown. And we can see that he ripped the heart out of this person as well. Cut back to Spawn, who says that he can't stay this way. He can't stay as a white man. Now, I get it. Okay, I get what this guy, what TODD McFARLANE's going for. I get what this guy is saying here. This isn't him. This isn't me. This is not who I was. And he's upset, because this, again, is another thing that, to fuck with him, that Malebolgia thought of everything. You know what I mean? Like, he gave him these powers that can basically do anything. There's no limit other than how much power he has, but it looks like he can literally make just wishes come true. Okay. So, he tried to turn himself back into who he was, but the devil had already thought of that and made sure that he couldn't do it, and he would end up being the opposite of what he was. Okay. But I have to tell you, as if I died and went to hell and came back, through a deal with the devil, I don't know. I think I'd be happier that I was alive, whether my race was or gender was changed, whatever. I don't care. I think that I would be happier. Yes, it's upsetting that the people I love probably won't recognize me or believe me when I go to tell them who I am and that I came back from the dead. They're all just going to look at me like I'm crazy. But I also feel like if I came back from the dead, and that, that old life is over because it's been 5 years and no one's, going to remember or believe that I am this person, whatever, I'm going to start a new life, as this new white guy or whatever. I'm just going to go and be like, okay, well, I'm going to get a new wife now, and I'm just going to live the rest of my life out the way I normally would. But this Spawn does not, he can't do it, at least not yet. He decides to turn back into hamburger meat, which, at the time, I was like, okay, if that's what you'd rather be, then, that's cool. And then he has a flashback. And this flashback is of his former boss, Jason Wynn, who he believes may have been the person to kill him. And he's going on about how they used to fight all the time because Jason Wynn was just kind of doing all this illegal stuff and all these cover-ups. And Al Simmons was kind of realizing it with the jobs that he was getting and what he was doing. And then I guess these memories hit a little too hard because it kind of, Spawn kind of passes out, falls off of this church into the alley. We cut back to this demon again, ripping more hearts out of apparent mobsters and tossing them around. And making the declaration that this is getting boring because he's just running around killing bad guys to get people to chase after Spawn. Now, we're going to find that out later on. And that's another thing that just... I kind of get what Todd McFarlane was doing. He was kind of making the Violator look like he's a stupid enemy, that he thought he was doing something good that his boss, the devil, was going to like a lot. But he's killing bad guys and pinning it on Spawn so that enemies would go after him. But, in essence, again, he's killing the bad guys. Like, he could have been out killing, innocent people. And then people would have been going after Spawn, like the authorities and everything. So, it's what it is. Like I said, sometimes, I get what was going on. I don't feel like it played out very well. Cut back to the clown here with Spawn. Now, again, like when we're going back page to page here, we're bouncing back and forth just after, one page or whatever. We're getting the impression that all of this is happening at the same time, okay? That it wasn't taking place in different times, and that this little clown guy is not the demon that we're seeing that is ripping the hearts out of mobsters. Even though we know, because we've read these before, that the clown guy is the Violator. We got that information at the end of this book. So the clown guy here helps Spawn up and, starts kind of telling him that he knows who he is and what he is. And then he starts going on about how he's going to do all this, or how he's this big, impressive bad guy that Spawn should be afraid of. And that's the funny thing, because, again, we're getting this impression that this little guy here is just crazy. Like, everything he's saying is, we're just looking at him and we're like, no, this guy can't do any of this stuff. What's he going on about? And he's made to be comedic, because here he is where he just realized that his fly was open the whole time, as we saw on the previous page. And he stops to zip it up and then starts pointing his finger at Spawn, talking about all the things he's going to do to him. And Spawn's just like, dude, you're fucking crazy. I'm out of here. And as he turns around to walk away, the clown then turns into Violator. Okay. It's cool. I like it. Again, I think some of the story is, there wasn't much that went on here, but there's more that went on here than in other things. When it comes to Spawn does one thing, and he mopes around about Wanda. He doesn't do anything unless he's forced to by everybody else. Spawn would have sat in an alley and never did anything ever if everybody else had left him alone. And I think Todd McFarlane knew this, so he had to bring out all these other characters in order to get Spawn to do anything. Because, it kind of makes sense. Like, Al Simmons is depressed, right? Like, he died. He came back to life 5 years later, saw his wife married his best friend, and had a kid that Al Simmons couldn't give him. We didn't get that information here yet, but we are going to get it. And, yes, that would, destroy any person. So that would, he's depressed and he's sitting in an alley and, being... homeless or whatever, and then that's it. That's all we're getting. The artwork in this was insanely good. I loved every second of it. Even if the story is not great, I have reread these books 1,000 times, and I'll never get tired of reading them. I love looking at the artwork. And an interesting note here. When I was in school when this book came out. I remember taking an English class and we were reading Beowulf, and we had to take a test on it. I think it was like our midterm exam on that. And we were given the option to either write some kind of essay, or we could draw a picture of what we thought Grendel looked like. Okay. And, I was reading this and I was trying to draw, like Todd McFarlane. So I drew a picture of the Violator as Grendel and got an A+ on that, because my teacher thought that was the most awesome thing they had ever seen, even though, because Grendel doesn't have like an actual description of what, it looks like. So we could just interpret it any way we wanted to, and I could just draw the Violator and have that be Grendel, and I remembered that. And I wish I still had that page of artwork, but I believe the teacher actually kept it. But yeah, so that's what this book reminded me of. So guys, I want to thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit like. It helps my channel grow, and I am trying to have my channel grow so that I can get my name out there as a comic book artist, because I'm currently working on a comic of my own creation called Ghost Girl. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit subscribe. And again, I want to thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.